Hello everyone, Wendy Ross for USTrotting this morning. We're at Southern Oaks Training Center in Florida as we kick off our 2023 Top Contenders, looking at 2-year-olds coming back at 3. Our first stop is for the Dam Patch 2-year-old pacer of the year, Stockade Seelster, for Dr. Ian Moore. Doc, good morning. Thank you so much for being with us and taking a little time with us today. Now, the question is, how are you doing? Everyone had to be concerned with you last week as you missed the O'Brien Awards, of course, to honor your 2-year-old pacer of the year last year, Stockade Seelster, the reason we're stopping by today. But before we get into him, tell us how you're doing and tell us kind of what happened last week and what made you miss the O'Briens.
Well, it's been a slow progress. Anybody that's had rib fractures would understand that. And this is about the 3rd time around for me. In 2011 or 12 at the Meadows in the day before the Adios, I broke 4 ribs in a very similar accident, and a couple more of them are re-broke, I guess, now. So it's 3 weeks yesterday, and it's just been a slow process. I mean, and that's the way it is. There's not much you can do about it. So I find it, I didn't even leave the house for the first 7 or 8 days, and then I've been coming to the barn now since then. I drove the car last week for the first time, and I flew the plane. So it's coming around, but it's just slow, and I just find it depressing some days to stand here and watch the horses go, but I've got some good people out there that have filled in for me. All of my grooms have stepped up, Bob and Sheila Mitchell and Giselle Lauder and Joe Tolino, who looks after Stockade, I might add, and Ronnie Waples has graciously agreed to fill in for me while I'm out, and I have Kim Miller here, and Ted Nadhazy from home. He's here as well all winter, so they're doing a great job.
Now let's talk about Stockade Seelster, of course, the son of State Treasurer. Now let's talk about State Treasurer, what a great horse he was for you. To see, to have him now to be training his Colts and his fillies has to be something for you. Talk about State Treasurer and how he kind of relates to Stockade Seelster. Do we have any similarities between the two?
Oh, we sure do, and I've said it before about shadow plays. Like I really enjoy training offspring from horses that I had in the past, and most every horse that we've had that's standing somewhere, including Arthur Blue Chip and Malicious, I've had some of those babies, and I really enjoy that, and some of them show a lot of similarities and some of them don't. Stockade has a whole pile of similarities, like his father. He's built very similar. He had a slim breed to him. His father was small. This fellow's gotten very tall towards the end of the summer, so he's a bigger size. But his will and desire to race are unbelievable, and that's the way his father was. And he even started pulling after a couple or 3 races and getting very difficult to manage on the track, which is the same thing his father did. We figured him out over time, and this guy seems very smart, and he's come around now as well. He's just finishing 4 weeks of jogging now. He started a week later than everybody else, and he's been jogging fantastic. Last couple of days, his groom, Joe Tolino's been jogging him, and prior to that, Ronnie and Ted were jogging him for me. I did get the first 3 days in before this happened, so anyway, he's been doing very well and very manageable out there, and I hope that continues on for him.
Back into 2022, of course, his 2-year-old campaign, 8 for 11 last year. Now you kept him up there at Woodbine. He never left Woodbine or Canada. Was that kind of what you were thinking and the plan was, or just how the stake season shook out?
Yeah, no, most 2-year-olds. I mean, this year, like I have 4 Pennsylvania breds and an Ohio bred. There's enough stake races in Canada, and especially so last year when the Breeders' Crown was there, that you don't have to leave Canada with the 2-year-old. If the Breeders' Crown had been elsewhere last year, like this year it's in Indiana, we probably would have went there anyway. But it just worked out that way, and it was great. I find it very difficult to keep a 2-year-old that starts early like he did, keep them going at the same level throughout those 4 or 5 months that you're racing them, especially when it gets colder towards the end of October. But he stayed up there pretty good. He'd lost a little bit perhaps at the end where he wasn't quite as sharp, but most good horses will do the best for you no matter how long you race them, and he was one of those.
Driver Jody Jamieson is the guy that got the call for you last year. These two kind of went together like peas and carrots. I chatted with Jody. He had such great things to say about the Colt. He said he's so excited for him to come back at 3. He said he's just so big gaited and he carries his speed such a long way, and it worked out for him, and he just can't wait to get him back at 3. Now, looking back last year, what was your favorite race and you think that impressed you the most at 2?
Well, before I tell you that, peas and carrots, I like that. Never heard that one before. There's only about 5 or 6 guys that I would like to use at Mohawk, I guess, and Jody's great. I mean, there's only a few guys up there that can drive in the big races, and Jody's certainly one of them. And as far as the best race goes, it's got to be the Metro, I guess. I couldn't say anything else.
Doc, the fellow that works for you, Bob Mitchell, he said 6 weeks in last year, speaking of the Metro, he said he knew that Stockade, he came to you and he said, Doc, you're going to win the Metro with this Colt. And you said, don't tell me that, don't tell me that, and how it certainly worked out.
Yeah, Bob put a lot of time into him. He looked after them all last winter. And Bob and Sheila both have worked for me the last 2 years, and they're great people. They're Chantel Mitchell's parents, actually. Chantel races on the Mohawk circuit. Just shows you, like, there's a lot of people involved, not just me as a trainer, but a lot of people involved in getting a Colt to where they end up to be at the end of the day. And Bob was certainly the first groom and caretaker, if you like, that got that ball rolling. Kim Miller trained him a lot last year because he was so push button to train early on. She trained him, and Ted did as well. And I've been quoted before as saying that I never got to train him very much because I was always going with the problematic ones.
You know, with the hype this year about, of course, the horse everyone was talking about, Bulldog Hanover, the son of Shadow Play. Now, go back to 2008. Now, you were been a veterinarian, you've been a teacher, you're a pilot, and about over 10 years now, plus, you said, you know what, I'm going to be a trainer now full time. Shadow Play was the horse that kind of launched you, took you in here, started coming south in the winter, all of the things that have led up to that. But of course, with Bulldog Hanover, it had to make you smile all year knowing he was the son of Shadow Play.
Oh, it sure did. I mean, all the Shadow Play offspring, I really like to see them do well, and Jack Darling's such a great guy, as everybody knows, that it couldn't have happened to a better person, and the horse was fantastic, no doubt about it. I mean, everybody said what can be said about him. It's hard to have any more words to describe him. Every time I saw him race, I'm so proud to say that he's by Shadow Play. Shadow Play, in his early career in Ontario, he bred a lot of shall we say, lesser caliber mares. He never had really top books up there, and everything he's done, he had to do it the hard way.
One more thing before I let you go. Now, oyster eating is a serious business down here at Southern Oaks Training Center. You and I were talking about it. Now, for me, when I eat oysters, I need a little fresh squeeze of lemon, scoop of horseradish. How do you like your oysters?
Well, first of all, they have to be from Prince Edward Island or New Brunswick, up on the Atlantic coast of Canada. The cold water oysters are far better than the warm water oysters in many, many ways. Plus, they're safer in terms of bacterial infections if you're eating them raw. And I like cocktail sauce and a minuet. I make my own minuet with shallots, crushed up shallots and champagne vinegar and some pepper.
Well, Doc, thank you so much for catching up with us. We're so glad that you're feeling better, and I certainly don't think this is going to be the last time we're going to be catching up this year.
Well, I hope so. Like I said, we're always optimistic, but we're realistic as well. So we'll see what happens and hope for the best.
Joined now by owner Alan McDonald. Alan, you and your wife Sally and your nephew have had a heck of a ride here, of course, with your talented Colt Stockade Seelster. Tell us about kind of how you came to acquire him, and I think the rest has been history from there.
Yeah, we picked him up at the London sale from Seelster Farms, and he's just been, it's just been a phenomenal story. You know, my wife and I were talking the other day, going back to State Treasure, he just completely changed our lives is what he did. And, you know, to have his son, you know, and to race him and what he's done, it's been incredible.
Going through last year, the success with Stockade Seelster, and looking back on the success with State Treasurer, guys, it's just got to be fun, right? And it's lucky to be you guys.
Oh, it's just been a blast. It's just been a blast. Like, State Treasurer took us all over the United States, and we met, you know, guys like Tim Tetrick and Dave Pallone, guys I would have never met before. Like, it was a lot of fun, and to be at all the tracks, it was really.
Now you guys stayed up in Canada throughout his 2-year-old year. It doesn't seem like that's probably hopefully going to be the plan for 3.
Hopefully
so hopefully we'll get to see you throughout the U.S. a little bit more this year.
Yeah, hopefully that should be a lot of fun. There's, you know, it's my wife really enjoys it too, you know, because she's had some health issues, and it's been a real distraction to be, you know, at the races and traveling, and keeps your mind off things.
You guys have been friends for quite some time, and then you get to come down here and enjoy the sunshine in the winter. It doesn't seem like a bad deal.
No, it's a really good deal. It's really good. A lot of fun for sure.